So we are back with some more card reviews. These cards came out at noon on October 21st for Eastern Standard Time, and it is now 1 p.m. as I'm doing this. So I've had a little bit of time to see what people think of these cards and just my own thoughts. Now, Cactus Rager. This card's a circle jerk card. It's incredibly unplayable. I'm not even gonna really waste my time talking about this one. It's a 2-mana 5/1 with Poisonous. It doesn't really do much of anything. You know, it's just a meme Rager card, you know? Oops. Sunspot Dragon. 6 mana, tradable lifesteal, quick draw, deal 6 damage. This is actually a really interesting card because not only does it have tradable, which means, you know, if you draw it early, you can just pitch it. Because it has tradable, it's easier to quick draw. And, you know, it has lifesteal, it deals 6 damage. This card might not be playable in Wild, all things considered, but it's definitely like an interesting card to generate in some Dragon decks. Like, you would pick this as an option if you're playing like Dragon Priest, Dragon Hunter, something like that. It might even make the cut just because it's, you know, 6 mana, deal 6. That's pretty decent with a body. Doubt it, though, but, you know, I'll give this the unplayable distinction for now, but there could be a world where a card like this does see play. I would not be that surprised. High Noon Duelist. 3 mana, 4/3, Death Rattle, both players draw. Destroy the card that costs less. So my understanding of this is it's going to be similar to Duel, but I can only assume that draw means you are drawing the card, right? So if you play this in like a sort of bigger deck, you're going to mill one of their cards, yes, but this is itself is a counter synergistic card to a lot of big decks, right? Because it's just a 3 mana 4/3. So I don't think this card's going to see any play. However, it is kind of interesting in the idea that if you play this against Miracle Rogue, like currently, they have what? Entirely 1s and 2s aside from the Giants and Yogg. So this card could be like, you know, just 3 mana 4/3, draw a card, mill 1 for your opponent against like Miracle Rogue or like Questline Druid, but it's not too likely to be playable by any means. Horseshoe Slinger. 3 mana, 2/2 mech, Battlecry, deal 2 damage to a random enemy minion. Quick draw and one of its neighbors. This card is really bad. Like really, really, really bad. How do I word this? This could be a real card if the quick draw said to both of its neighbors, you know, 3 mana, 2/2, deal 6 damage to minions is okay, all things considered. But the fact that it's only 1 and it's random, this card just doesn't seem like it's going to be playable by any means. Saloon Brewmaster. 2 mana, 2/2, Battlecry, return a friendly minion to your hand, give a +2/+2. This is just Bog Slosher. This is just Bog Slosher, but -1 mana. Why'd they do that to my Bogger? My Bogger, man! Now, of course, Bog Slosher already currently sees no play, but this is a neutral card. It is an upgrade to Brewmaster. There could be a world where this card sees play. I can't imagine it currently. I wouldn't be surprised if there was one, but all things considered, I don't think this card's going to see any play, which is a little sad, but it is what it is. Trapdoor Spider. 2 mana, 1/2, Beast, Stealth Poisonous. After your opponent plays a minion, attack it. This card is a whole insane power creep over Gankster. Now, you might be thinking, oh, you know, Gankster had the 4 attacks, so you can send it face. Why would you be sending Gankster face, right? It's going to die after you play it, unless you play Ramming Mount. But, you know, this is a tutorable beast with Breeder or with Scavenger's Ingenuity, all those kind of things. It guaranteed kills the minion, unlike Gankster. Gankster doesn't kill anything that has 5 or more health. This kills it at any health. This card actually will probably be playable in Hunter, in like some niche decks, something like Knuckles Hunter, something like a Reno Hunter, which currently doesn't run very many beasts. But yeah, I do think this card will genuinely be playable, especially because of Ramming Mountain, how good Ramming Mountain is as a card. Gold Panner. 2 mana, 1/2, Tribeless Minion. At the end of your turn, draw a card. This is just a whole lot better than OG Nat Pagle. Nat Pagle, of course, had more health, so it'd stick around a little bit longer, but it was also a 50% chance to draw a card, right? This card is, like, interesting, to say the least. You play this in Reno Priest. You play it in, like, these slower control decks that are so starved for draw, like, you know, Reno Priest. It's very interesting, and I do like this card a whole lot. It's not playable in a lot of decks, I'll say. It's definitely going to be niche, but you could also argue that this is about as good as something like Peasant, because this is always going to draw, where Peasant, you know, didn't. They do have the same amount of stats. Of course, it's +1 mana over Peasant, but you could run this in, you know, like Aggro Druid, things like that. I do think this card has a place in Wild. I just can't think of what it would be off the top of my head. And lastly, Miracle Salesman. 1 mana, 2/2, Death Rattle, get a tradable Snake Oil. And of course, Snake Oil is 0 mana, deals 0 damage, tradable. It's supposed to be like a useless kind of card. It even says this seems useless, but I assume there's going to be some sort of synergy with Snake Oils at some point. I do think this card might actually be playable. Hear me out. It is a 1 mana 2/2. That's above premium stats. Or about premium stats, sorry. It has no tribe, so it doesn't mess with things like Breeder. It doesn't mess with a lot of tribal synergies that want to target specific cards. And it gives you a tradable, right? Like, sure, drawing this kind of sucks once you trade it the first time, but it gets it out of your hand. It also works with Open the Waygate. You know, this is a way to get a 0 mana spell for Open the Waygate. Psycho Synergy is spell damage? Yeah, of course. That's what I was thinking, right? I was getting to that, actually. Because of Snake Oil, you can play things like Sith, which is currently pretty good, or Mozaki. You know, both of those cards, Mozaki was really good in Wild at one point. And then this is just 0 damage for that. Or you could play, like... Yeah, Street Trickster goes very well with this card as a 3 mana +2 spell damage. And then because of this, it's just a 0 mana deal 2. And then if you have a couple of these, it goes off really well. If you can, you know, play a bunch of 1-cost spells with that and this and Street Trickster and all that, you can get a lot of burn. I think there is a world where Miracle Salesman does see play. It's hard to fathom without seeing the rest of the cards. Unlike a lot of other cards. A lot of other cards are, you know, a lot more cut and dry. But I do think this card could possibly be playable in Wild. That being said, you know, tell me what you think below. I think that this is one of the best expansions they've released in a while. I really like a lot of these cards, even if they're bad. The theme is just on point, and I love it so much. Yeah, if you enjoyed, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll check you guys out in the next time.